Well, hello, and it's time to do a new project. So, working on that desk right now, and those boards are not as flat as I'd like them to be, so I'm deciding to make a router sled. So I got a 4x8 piece of cabinet grade plywood, 3/4 inch thick, some 59-inch rails, linear rails, and I got a 79.5-inch linear rail as well. Now the idea of this is to make it collapsible, removable, so it doesn't take a whole lot of space up in my garage, and to put it against the wall. So in order to do that, I'm gonna add some wheels to it, some collapsible legs, and we're gonna go with that route. And for the router where it's gonna sit on, I'm gonna use a 1/2 inch acrylic. This sheet is 12 inches by 12 inches. So because this is so big of a sheet and these rails aren't exactly as long as the board, I'm gonna cut down the plywood right now. So I'm thinking I kind of want the spacing to be around 3 inches off from the edge, so right around here. So this rail will go right up against that. It gives me a little bit of room on the sides to work with. And I'm gonna cut the rest of it over here down. So right here. All this will get cut off here, 3 inches from here. Work this way. Sure, we'll go with that. There we go. Doesn't need to be pinpoint accurate. I would like it to be straight, but I don't have anything that can make stuff straight. So it is what it is. Now that it is smaller, let's check these. Oh good, it works. So I ended up having to mark these boards at 84.5, or actually 84 5/8 of an inch. And it lines up right with the edge of it. I'm not looking for precision with this wood. Also, they're warped to crap. So I'm gonna probably try to plane these a little bit to try to get a smoother surface. So when I'm building the frame, it sits flat. So I'm gonna cut these off with the circular saw. I'm not getting the other tools out. That'll work out good. So I got these oil brackets on Amazon, hoping to get better accuracy on the corners. And I'm gonna see how they work. Obviously it's not perfectly square. There's gaps, but it's a frame. That's all that matters. Just reusing screws at this point. Well, the frame's done. It's a little wobbly. Then again, the concrete's not exactly flat. I'm hoping this actually straightens it out once you get pressure on it. So time to put that together now. So I got the base made. It's a pretty quick one. Camera was dead yesterday, so I decided not to film. But anyway, there wasn't much missed. I just installed the legs. They're collapsible, and I installed the little wheels on the back of this to help move it around. So nothing too much. My only complaint about this so far is it's a little bit wobbly. I think when I'm going to use it, I'm going to put some screws in there because I did some trial runs where I just shot a screw right through it just to hold it in place, and it was a little bit more sturdy. But for being disassemblable, I'm fine with it. So I wanted to see if I needed to get these rails up a little bit higher as well. Here's one of the pieces I made, and yeah, it's a little bit bowed. Taking a rail, just by looking at it, I should have plenty of height clearance. So I think I'm just going to run with it. If I need to make it taller in the future, I'll just get some blocks of wood and pull these up with blocks. Just going to tack it down using some wood screws. So I think I got it relatively good. I wanted to try to get some measurements on it to make sure these rails are perfectly flat. Basically what was going on is when I was tightening this up, it was bowing it a little bit, causing a bind. That's because plywood's not perfectly flat. You don't sound very good. These take M5s. Rails are on, and this is what it's going to look like in the end. As far as supporting the wood when I work with it, I'm just going to probably screw some teeth onto this board. Well, not this board, but this board, to allow it to not move. I think if I do a more permanent design, I'd probably incorporate it into a table and make it modular so I can take it apart and use it as a workbench. But for now, this is fine. Before I could move on with this build, I had to pick up a router. So, Harbor Freight router. I've actually liked the Hercules brand, and they've worked out pretty well for me, so we're gonna go with it. $120 is a lot better than $200. And now I get to go cut some stuff. Then my next thought process was, how am I going to get this stuff to attach? Well, we're going to use Legos for Engineers, aluminum extrusions. I got a lot of the stuff in-house, so I don't need to buy anything. So I'd rather make it out of aluminum than wood, but either way is good. For me, I'm just going to use those, because it's easier to work with for me. I cut these out to be around 16 inches in length for the edges. Allows for adjustments if I need to. There we go. This is kind of what I'm thinking of. Sled mounting. Aluminum extrusions on the side. The router in the front. Well, towards me more. Another aluminum extrusion on the side. Eventually they're going to match up to right about here, and I'm just going to use aluminum plate and just tie it all together. Bam! And done. Let's attach these. So all I am doing is screwing these in. There we go. Now it's starting to come along. So what I'm doing now is just positioning my plate to make it as center as possible. Again, I'm not looking for perfection here. I'm just looking for good enough. Now I gotta figure out which ones I need to drill. Definitely not that size. I think it's this one, and probably this one. That should be good. So the screws in this feel like they're just a regular M5. We're gonna go with it. Alright, well, there's my mistake. I done messed up. It is what it is. I think it might actually work out pretty well for me though, because when I'm using the sled, going back and forth, I can still do the adjustments here. So I don't think it's too much of a loss. It's just something to pay attention to if you plan on doing this. I started working on the template for this. Here's the router sled. So I cut some aluminum pieces out. They're about 3 inches in width. And the length is is the same size as this right here. And to do a template, I just use taped, marked holes, put it on the piece of aluminum. As far as spacing, it doesn't really matter. I was more concerned about making sure that this is long enough when it's held up against that. Got the rails loose right now so they can move in and out. Okay. Alright, well, it's all together now. I left one screw on each side off on the corners. I don't think it's important. It's pretty secure. It's like a little mini CNC. Well, I think it worked. I'm covered in dust. Not the right attire for this. That's pretty good. Still need to go lower though. So after using this router sled, I am very happy with it. I could think of some improvements I could do. Some of the things I don't particularly like is the flimsy legs I have on it, but this is just kind of thrown together in pretty much a weekend time span besides waiting for parts. And it served the purpose for now. Quite frankly, I made more work for myself trying to get these boards flat, because they should have been flat after I milled them down, but I'm new to this